The Lamb Weston Columbia Cup on the Columbia River. Heat 2A for the unlimited hydroplanes on the water. On the inside will be Dr. Ken Muscatel in the U-25. That's the red, white, and blue. Mostly blue and white from our perspective. Unlimited hydroplane. Albert Lee, the green, a little bit of green on it, mostly yellow boat with Brian Perkins, the driver, in lane 2. Jerry's Tavern, Greg Hopp in lane number 3. It'll be Kip Brown driving today for the West Pasco Family Dental U-17 out in lane 4. Lane 5, Steve David and the Oboyo Birdo, the two fast boats on the outside, Steve, with Graham Trucking, J. Michael Kelly. We just saw him win Heat 1B. He's on the outside for this Heat 2A.
One of those situations we talked about, the two fastest boats in this field are certainly J. Michael Kelly. Remember, he won yesterday, so he has to go clear to the outside here. Next to him, Steve David. Even with the 150-point penalty, he had enough to get a late choice, and he went to lane 5. Here is the doctor. He'll have lane 1 in the U-25. It's one of those Leland boats, red, white, and blue. Brian Perkins, the U-48. Looks like it's yellow on the water. A little bit of green on the deck. He'll be in lane 2. Greg Hopp, the very low, dark profile of the U-100, out in lane 3. Good spot for Greg. That boat might just be a factor here. Nate Brown, after that tremendous run yesterday, the U-17, this should be Kip, right, Mark?
Yep, it'll be Kip today.
So it'll be Kip Brown driving today. And then to the outside, it's Steve David in lane 5, the U-1, the Oboyo Birdo. And right beside him, a winner from yesterday, J. Michael Kelly in the U-7, Graham Trucking. As they line up now on the backstretch, they are at 35 seconds to go. No battling for lanes here, but you do have to time yourself around to make a good start. Ken Muscatel's boat wouldn't go for him yesterday. It is today, though. He has the inside. He looks pretty good moving up there. We'll see what the doctor has from lane 1.
Everybody into the top end of the race course in the turn. Ken Muscatel on the inside. The boat that you can see right there outside, way outside, is J. Michael Kelly in the Graham Trucking. Steve David will be next to him in the Oboyo Birdo. Greg Hopp laying back a ways. He's about rooster tail behind everybody else as they come to the start here with 4 seconds to go. Looks like they're in pretty good shape.
1-0. It's a good start. Nate Brown led him across the line, but Steve David was right beside him in the very fast Oberto, and J. Michael Kelly made a good start on the outside. Kelly running high and loose as they head into the Blue Bridge turn. This will be a wild one. Keep an eye on this. The doctor on the inside turns left first, but he has a lot of speed to his right. Nate Brown actually the leader as they approach the exit pin.
And Muscatel is the boat we see on the inside, but he's dropped back. You can bet the Oboyo Birdo, J. Michael Kelly outside of him, but it's Kip Brown who leads him up the backstretch.
Halfway. I said Nate Brown again. It's Kip this time, the nephew doing the driving, and he is leading 2 very fast boats. That boat has really come alive, the 17. Now off to his right as they turn toward us, you will see the Oboyo Birdo and the Graham Trucking, and as they come down to finish lap 1, it's going to be close. There is Steve David sticking his nose out there in lane 5. Kip Brown still the leader. What a great first lap for young Mr. Brown with Steve David flying the Oboyo Birdo trying to catch him.
They're just about dead even, about 1 boat length at the end of lap number 1. Third across the line will be J. Michael Kelly, the doctor, in 4th way on the inside. But the story is the race between Kip Brown, the U-17 on the inside, Steve David on the outside as you watch them head to the Blue Bridge turn just past that yellow entrance pin buoy. They're halfway through already, and Kip still has the hammer down on Steve David and leads him by about a boat length as they come off the turn.
This is what I love about this format. In the second heats, you send the fast boats way to the outside, and they have to get around the field. Kip Brown now is being passed by Steve David in the Oboyo Birdo, but I'll tell you what, Steve is really flying that boat high and loose to get this kind of boat speed. You seldom see him have to run this hard.
Just about a full rooster tail length lead as Steve David cuts it left at the entrance buoy to the west turn, still staying way outside, giving Kip Brown a lot of racing room. Behind him is J. Michael Kelly, just does not seem to have the boat speed this morning that he did yesterday afternoon. End of lap number 2, it's Steve David and the Oboyo Birdo across the line first, then Kip Brown, and then J. Michael Kelly in the Graham Trucking. And
keep it down! Kelly's going over! We have an accident on the front. J. Michael Kelly and the U-7 Graham Trucking got high in the air, went over more than one time, a spectacular crash. We're going to have to stop the heat. J. Michael Kelly running high and loose in the U-7. The boat is upside down. The rescue crew is on the way. Now we start hoping that he is okay in the boat. It was a very, very high flip. A spectacular crash here. I believe you saw it live as Kelly got high in the air.
The hatch is open. He's get. Oh, okay. Yeah, the hatch is open, and Kelly is out of the cockpit. He's standing on the deck.
What a relief!
Now we can probably go back and take a look at that as it happened.
The brand new father, the last thing we wanted to see was any kind of a physical problem for him. There he goes. Look at the nose came up. It actually rode a little bit, Mark, for about 100 yards. He couldn't get it back down, and then a spectacular crash. Thank God we know already the driver is standing on the boat, and that is the best possible news at this point. Stopped my heart to think of had a baby 2 weeks ago, and I know his wife has her heart in her throat right now, and it's good for her to be able to see that JMK is able to get out of the boat and stand on the bottom. The rescue crew there already. He appears to be pretty close to 100%, and that is great news.
Looking at the boat, too, sometimes you want to take a look at some of the parts to see what happened, what made that happen. If a prop goes, the prop actually gives lift to the rear end of the boat. And if the prop goes away, sometimes that boat can actually have its stern go down, the nose goes up. But we look at the stern of the boat, and the prop is still there, the skid fin is still there, the rudder is still there.
And
so
you know, Mark,
it
could also be a case, we talked about how he was running a surprising third place. I think he felt that it was worth the effort and the risk to try to catch Kip Brown for those second place points, and it may have been just a case of getting a little too aggressive here on the front straightaway. The nose came up. We'll look again here, and the nose actually came up as he went by us, and at that point he was gone. He simply couldn't bring it back. The front wing can bring the nose down to a degree, but not when it's that high in the air. The wing becomes ineffective. So not the way we wanted to start our Sunday of racing. I'm sure the boat has damage. Rarely do we see a boat do that kind of a flip, land upside down, and come back later in the day. Well, we have seen a flip and win right here in the Tri-Cities as well, but that boat was right side up after when Dave Billwalk did it a couple of years ago.
Did a complete 360, landed on the transom and flopped back over right side up. This time landed on the transom, twisted a little bit to the right, and then flopped over backwards. Quite a spectacular crash.
You know, right at that point, when Steve David went by a few seconds earlier, he got very loose, and you wonder if maybe there was something going on with some air currents or a lump in the water right at that point, because J. Michael got in trouble exactly at the point where Steve David had to work a little bit to bring his boat down as he went through that same area.
So keep an eye on the boat. One of the other things we want to keep an eye on is whether the boat continues to float. Sometimes when it lands on the stern like that, it can tear part of the rear end of the boat off and start to take on water. But it looks like the boat is floating pretty well at this point.
The rest of the Unlimiteds shut down immediately. They are told on the radio there's been an accident. Ken Muscatel is floating way down by the Blue Bridge. Just around the turn a little bit from him is Kip Brown, who was running second in that heat. Brian Perkins and the U48 Whirlpool presents Albert Lee Appliance is up here by the start-finish line, and now we're looking at Greg Hopp and his low-profile boat. He has just passed the start-finish line. Once they know that everything is secure, they will send towboats to all of these Unlimiteds, and we have to wait for the word now, Mark, whether we had a heat in the books. We had run one lap, which is normally not enough. We may have to have a restart of our Heat 2A. Boy, did Kip Brown do a nice job, huh?
Whoa.
17. He really had that thing flying.
You know, early in June, they tested the boat over on Lake Sammamish. I happened to be there to see them do that. Nate Brown took the boat out. They made one change over the winter. They didn't really do an awful lot to the boat except they changed the rudder. And when Nate took it out in early June and ran around a very small course on Lake Sammamish, where some of the limited inboard racers were racing, he came back. There was a smile as big as a jack-o'-lantern. He was so pleased with that one small change that they made, and it's added the stability of the boat, and now the power that they had already. They knew they had the speed. They just didn't have the boat riding the way they wanted it, and that one small change has made a world of difference. It's given them another 10 miles an hour to run with.
Kip Brown said that when Nate took the boat out first, he came back so excited. Kip was anxious to get in the boat to see what all the excitement was about, and he agreed. He said it was an entirely different race boat than last year, and we've seen it run very well here this weekend. You saw Steve David attaching the tow line to the front of the Oh Boy Oberto. Nothing wrong with that boat. He'll just be towed back to the pit area while they decide if we're going to restart. I'm sure if there is a restart of that heat, it will come after the running of Heat 2B, which would be set to go next. Unfortunate, certainly for Steve. He had it all going out ahead and running beautifully when the accident occurred. And again, J. Michael Kelly got himself out the bottom of the boat. There's a hatch right under the driver's seat that the rescue crew uses to extract the driver. And they actually tell the driver, stay there and wait for us. But the young guys don't like to do that. They like to get out and let everybody know they're okay. And frankly, I'm glad he did, Mark, because his situation with the brand new baby, we just didn't want anything happening to young Mr. J. Michael Kelly. And the good news, the bad news, of course, we may have lost a boat. The good news is the driver appears to be 100% okay. He's on his way now to the medical area for a little bit of an inspection himself. And we'll just hope for more good news following that.
Well, Scott Reister is gathering up some folks down in the pit area to chat with about this heat and the accident, and we will get to him in just a minute or two, so stick with us. The 2009 Lamb Weston Columbia Cup. We'll be right back. Back here on the Columbia River, the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup 2009. Mark Allen here with my broadcasting partner, Steve Montgomery. Steve, we do know that heat will not be rerun. It's finished. Steve David actually had finished lap number 2, and Kip Brown had as well. And then just after that, our accident occurred.
So it is a complete heat of racing, which helps in the day's schedule, certainly. And I'm sure Kip Brown is happy with that because he was having a tremendous heat. So Steve David will pick up 400 points. Kip will pick up 300 on a very good start to their Sunday. Not so good for young J. Michael Kelly in the U7 Graham Trucking. That is what remains of his race boat floating upside down in the Columbia River. He has been taken to the medical area at the end of the pit area. He was walking, talking, completely upright, extricated himself from the boat. All the signs we see from here are good. Any injuries we hope would be fairly minor. It was a fairly spectacular flip, high in the air, 1.5 revolutions. The boat landed on the transom, which is actually good for the driver, Mark, because that means the blow is coming from the back. It presses you back in the seat rather than throwing you forward into anything in the cockpit or the belts.
Well, Scott Reister has a guy who had a front row seat for that accident. Scott, you've got Dr. Ken Muscatel down there. Take it away.
Yeah, I certainly do. Ken, I know you were right around J. Michael Kelly when that flipped. What did you see from the cockpit?
Splash. That's it. I knew it happened because I didn't see him go up, but I saw him splash down.
Yeah. Okay. What goes through your mind anytime you see one of your colleagues out there like that?
The way it looked fine. When it went by me, it looked like the kind of thing that you have no trouble surviving and being okay in. But J. Michael's had a baby, not him, but
Yeah, not him. It's his fiance, right?
And he's a great guy. I'm happy that he's been running so well. I hope that he's fine. Sounds like he's fine.
Yeah.
But great guy.
So you didn't see the boat go up? You just saw it land?
No, I was busy at the time. I was, unless it's right in front of you, it's hard sometimes to see it because it's not in your field of vision, which is very, very narrow focus. You might not see it. So I was looking who's next to me, anybody behind me. So I was actually asking for information when I saw him go over.
Okay.
Or saw the end of him going over.
All right. So how'd you guys do out there? Just one final?
I think we took 3rd place.
Yeah.
We rock.
All right, a little looser mood than originally. Thanks a lot, Dr. Ken Muscatel. And right away you can see that he was in the rescue boat and he was okay. I was actually standing right near where his fiance was, Angela Hecker. We talked to her earlier in the weekend, and she really was suffering from almost some shock, it looked like. So she had some people around her. She was really hysterical for a while, but it looks like she calmed down, and everybody soon realized that he was okay. That was the first thing that everybody's heard when they saw him come out right away. So thankfully it looked a lot worse than it was. He came away, looks like without a scratch. I'm not sure to say that exactly yet, but everybody seems to think that he's going to be fine. They're taking him on the rescue boat to get checked out, and that heat will be considered a final because they did complete, I guess, 2 laps, and Steve David considered the winner, Ken Muscatel 3rd right there. But certainly a scary moment for a new dad and his fiance, and pretty much a lot of family members here for J. Michael Kelly, but thankfully it seems like it's going to be all right. Back to you.
Well, it is considered a final heat, Scott, because we did have 3 boats that finished 2 laps, and one of those was J. Michael Kelly, and we were just about ready to head toward a countdown for our Heat 2B for the Unlimiteds. Let's take a look at J. Michael Kelly's participation in the air show here. His flip just a few minutes ago. He'll be on the left side of your screen, and you watch Kip Brown go by, and then here comes J. Michael Kelly. He's already up in the air about 6 feet with the nose of the boat, and then all of a sudden up and over he goes.
As we said, landing on the transom is preferable to landing on the nose. I'm getting a phone call, Mark. One of my roles here this weekend is the public relations coordinator for the ABRA. If they took J. Michael to the hospital, part of my duties might be to go, so that might have been the reason for my phone call. When we get a break here, I'll have to check and see if that's a situation. He certainly
right now,
looked to...
everybody down here, guys, is doing a big one of these because I'm with J. Michael Kelly. You saw that amazing, sensational flip. Tell me out there what exactly happened and what was going through your mind.
Just, I was trying to secure third, and, the two guys in front of me pretty much had it locked up, and, I wanted to get that third place and hit a roller. Something came up and just hung, and then it took off, and there's pretty much nothing I could do. It's one of those things that happens in racing, and, you feel bad for the guys and, sponsorship and everything else, because, boat gets back here, and then we got to assess the damage, and, who knows what it's going to look like, and, nobody wants, this to happen. It's just one of those things, but, I'm standing, and I'm here talking to you guys, and, it shows the safety of these capsules, going 200 miles an hour and be able to walk away. I mean, it shows a lot, and, I'm very thankful for those guys that have, came up with this design. Else I could be somewhere else right now.
Yeah, it's simply amazing that you walked away pretty much without a scratch. You said your neck's hurting a little bit, though?
Actually, my neck hurts from yesterday, and, right now I feel perfectly fine. I think I hurt myself more than anything just getting out of the thing, so, I walked away pretty much unscratched.
I saw your grandparents, your parents, your fiance, your kid, your whole family's here. How hard was it on them? Did you have to pretty much rush to them and say, hey guys, I'm okay?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's tough on everybody, especially being a new dad and stuff like that. So, I got a little guy I need to worry about too, and I can't afford to hurt myself. But this is what I love to do, and I'm still here, so. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Certainly a tough moment for J. Michael Kelly, but racing fine this weekend so far. Besides that, and we'll see how much the boat damage sustained, and maybe he can get back out on the water for Heat 3. Guys, back to you.